Devils brought a 2-game winning streak with them to Raleigh, taking on a team that has been quite the nemesis over the years, the Carolina Hurricanes, and it was Carolina sweeping the season series as they win by a score of 5-2. And Chico, the game got off to a good start for the Devils. They had a 1-0 lead, but boy, that second period just changed things around.
Yeah, exactly, Matty. And there were a couple of lucky goals, a couple breakdowns. There was one tip by Stahl. It, doesn't always happen. But even up here in the booth, you still got the feeling, oh, no, it's Carolina. Are they going to do it to us again? You know what I mean? And we're not even on the bench or on the team. But you just got a sense that the way it's been in the past history, they find a way to score and get the edge on the Devils, and they certainly did that in the second period. And
they go away to a 5-2 victory. Let's check out the highlights of today's game as we'll go back to that first period. As I won't say it was a slow start, maybe a feeling out process, call it what you will, but it was scoreless with Jacob Markstrom facing 8 Carolina shots. There was a big save on Logan Stankoven earlier, and then a huge one on Seth Jarvis. Svechnikov bumped at the blue line by Luke Hughes. Svechnikov comes across like the one-timer by Jarvis, and a save by Markstrom, whom comes left post to right. Great save, and a little entertainment after the save as well.
Well, he let Jarvis know, because Jarvis was down on one knee after blasting it. And he looked at him, and then just opened up and dropped the puck and said, Is this what you were looking for? Anyway, that's Marky. He's involved in all aspects, playing the puck, being involved when he gets behind the net, likes to be hit and do his own bit of physical play. And they're saying to the player, hey, nice try, but I got you.
So that kept the game scoreless and gave the Devils the opportunity to score and take the lead, and they did just that. Stahl tried to grab it, couldn't. It was poked away by Hischier. Puts it on the stick of Mercer across the line, 2-on-1. He waits, finds a man in front, and they score. It's Timo Meier. What patience by Dawson Mercer. As he set up Timo Meier, he had the break, and he saw that someone was coming, realized it was Timo. But he didn't rush at Dawson Mercer. He didn't try to shoot, didn't think, I got a chance. He said, okay, in my 400th consecutive game and 400th in the league, I think what I'll do is pass it off to Timo Meier.
Well, especially when I've only got 15 goals and Timo Meier's the hot scorer, I think I'll try to get it to him, and all that worked out.
17:06, the time of the goal. Meier's 22nd of the season, 9th in his last 17 games.
Wow.
Mercer with the primary, Nico Hischier the secondary, and the Devils had a 1-0 lead. But as we said, things really turned around in that second period. Taylor Hall, who had a dynamic game, ended it with 2 assists today, was denied by Markstrom, so it's still 1-0, but 2 power plays in the first for the Devils. They failed to score. They went 0 for 3 on the power play overall. And you were saying it. You were worried. You said the next one's going to be against Jersey. It's just the nature of the game. And it was Lenny Hamanaho called for a trip at 8:27. Carolina's power play, really effective, but it really took a while and a bit of a break before they were able to score, because what happens? Jordan Stahl comes on with the first unit, but is he a first unit power play guy?
No. And the first unit didn't score. But, it doesn't matter. That's why you have 2 units, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so Ehlers has to wait because the puck stayed in the zone for a long time. So he doesn't come on. You had mentioned that the way they do it is Stahl wins the face-off, he stays on. If he loses it, he skates off, and Ehlers comes on. Well, Ehlers saying, come on, man. I want to pick up my power play goals. Well, he had to wait because the Devils were able to keep them off the board and did a nice job. But then he does come on, and Nikolai Ehlers, who came in leading Carolina in power play goals with 8, wound up adding to that total. Now Taylor Hall across the line, plays it to a trailer. Nikishin, now here's a drive, they score! It's Ehlers tying it up with the power play goal. It's 1-1 here in the second. His 23rd and 9th power play goal at 10-10, tying it up. It was Alex Nikishin and Taylor Hall with the assists. And that was the start of things starting to go against the Devils.
Well, that's when we all said, all Devils fans and players, this thing's turning around. What a shot by Ehlers, though. I got to say, he He shot it, if you're looking at the net, to the right post, off the post, high. Great shot, and that started it.
Well, it stayed 1-1 for a bit, but then there was a turnover, and Carolina took a lead they would not give back. Blake with it. Blake in deep, cuts to his left shot, score! Jackson Blake makes it 2-1. His 19th goal of the season. Ehlers with the assist. Jordan Martinook with an assist. And at 15:37, or check that, excuse me, Hall and Gostisbehere with the assist at 13:48, and it was 2-1.
Yeah, and it was a weird turnover, like you said. It was down low in the left corner, and then Blake walks out, and he's got a backdoor guy, Stankoven's over there, so he looked like he might pass it, and then he just turned and whipped it, went right through Siegenthaler and through the goaltender, Markstrom.
And so the Devils now trailing in the game, and one goal would be enough of a deficit to overcome because Carolina is so stout defensively. But shortly thereafter, less than 2 minutes later, there was another turnover, and Jordan Staal scored his 19th goal of the season. Ehlers and Martinook with assists on that one. And it was 3-1. 3 goals in 5 minutes and 27 seconds. They added 2 shots to Carolina's total after 2, so they outshot the Devils 15-5 in the second period and just took a stranglehold on the game.
Yeah, there's nothing more I can add. You're exactly right, Matty.
So into the third period we would go, and listen, as not poorly, but as stoutly as Carolina was playing, it was only one goal that might change the difference. It would give the Devils some life, but it was so hard to come by for the longest time. They only had one shot on Brandon Bussi. Then they started to get a little bit of a break, but there was a breakaway for Jesper Bratt. He's not able to score as the puck rolls off his stick. Good work by Jalen Chatfield defensively.
Oh, great play. And then, remember, he sure has a pretty wide-open shot also, and he couldn't score. So, yeah, it wasn't that there weren't some glorious chances, not that the Devils were firing puck after puck, but there was a couple of moments where they had a break where they could have scored, but didn't.
Well, you mentioned that Hischier opportunity. Here's how it sounded. Puck clear to center ice. It's knocked down by Staal. And rolls to Keandre Miller, whose pass is knocked away. Here's Hischier with a chance save. He gets it back. And Bussi able to just deter him, making him go behind the net. He couldn't get a pass out in front. And looking at it again, Bussi had a little bit of a poke check there. And there goes a... First off, it was a very good save to start.
Yeah.
And the second opportunity wasn't there because of Bussi's alert play.
Yeah, and, that's where you say gripping the sticks and all that. I don't necessarily agree. But here's what I do agree. Do the Devils have great confidence against this team? No. And that can work against you, and I think it did there. All night, really, Devils had some high-quality scoring chances, but could only really score the one goal. The second goal was nothing.
Probably at some point they said, here we go again. But it still was just 3-1 until the final 4.5 minutes of the game. And that's when we had the play of the game, brought to you by Prudential, the Devils' official financial services partner. Pass up ahead, picked off by Gostisbehere in the center circle, takes it across the line. Wrist shot, scores! Gostisbehere from out high beats Markstrom glove side. Oh, back-breaking goal. It's 4-1. And indeed it was, and it was the play of the game, brought to you by Prudential, the Devils' official financial services partner, because that was basically it.
Yeah, there was no hope for the Devils after that goal.
Gostisbehere, an unassisted goal at 15:25. They would add one in an empty net by Jarvis. It came with the Devils on a power play. That was actually an even strength, or rather, a shorthanded goal by Jarvis at 17:40. And then a nice note at the end of the game. He struggled through injuries, hasn't done what he would hope to do. Evgeny Dadadov, though, does score a goal at 19:36. His first point, his first goal, and it comes in his 20th game, only his 20th game. You think a little bit what might have been. I don't know if he would have been the 20-goal scorer he was last night or not.
Well, I don't know, but all I know is he really celebrated, and you thought, come on, it's 5-2. But then when you realize it was his first goal, I can see why he did about 4 fist pumps. And let's give him that.
Feels good for himself at any rate,
yes,
right?
Yes.
1936, the time of that goal, and it was Johnny Kovacevic and Brendan Dillon with the assists. And now the Devils have to prepare for Chicago tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't think you have a lot of preparation there. They're giving up a lot of goals. Play your game. Devils like you did on the road against Dallas and Nashville. And I think, I just think the Hawks are going to give you some goals, and they can't score. But, don't come in thinking, this is going to be easy, because, the Hawks might be desperate. But this should be a win for the Devils. I'm saying it should be, really.
It should be based on how Chicago has played, and the Devils able to score some goals, though not today against Carolina. We talked in the beginning of the game, and Sheldon Keefe talked about it on the pregame show. What are you learning about this team? Because it's been a lost season, but they're playing well at the end, and it's hard to judge what the last few games of a season can mean. I would have liked to have seen more today against Carolina, just to say
yes,
this recovery is a little more real than maybe it is.
No, and you're right. And even this game is a bit mystifying, because the goals against weren't like terrible breakdowns, but they were just enough to say why. And so, it's this team right now, all year has been a hard team to figure out.
Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt had 7-game point scoring streaks come to an end.
Oh.
And they'll try to start it again tomorrow against Chicago. Let's check in with Sheldon Keefe.
The other forwards don't stop on the puck and recover to take care of the play, to give us some numbers back at our nets, and then we have another one. We get time to make a play on it, and we just kind of panic and chunk it up the wall and gives them a chance. So, those are two big plays that ended up in our net. Obviously, Markey made a lot of great saves for us in that first period and throughout the game. But those ones really hurt. Obviously, when you pair it with, or you put it with the power play goal that we gave up.
Well, Sheldon, is this one of those games you look at and maybe did the team fail to recognize that maybe they might not have the legs or the energy? This is your third game in 5 nights. Carolina hadn't played in 3 days. And in that second period, when they got that first one, was that maybe a moment to recognize, hey, we need to go 5 minutes and just even punt the puck at all times?
Well, like I just said, we tried to punt the puck on the third goal, and then it ends up in our net. So, no, punting the puck against this team is precisely what they want. They knock it down in the neutral zone. They come right back at you, and it's wave after wave after wave. You got to make a play. You got to get it off the boards against these guys. And so I don't think that's necessarily it, but there's no question that our bench sank a little bit, once they scored that first goal. And it's more so just, the opponent. You know how hard it is to score. You've got the lead. You've given them life. The crowds come alive. So it's all of that. But, like I said, Markey made a bunch of saves where, you maybe don't focus so much on those plays and those sequences, but certainly we're right there in the game. I even liked how up until the penalty we took, I liked our second period. We couldn't get a lot of pucks clean to the net, but we were on there half the ice. We had some good sequences. We were making some plays. So that was really good. We just didn't have the stamina or the energy that you're talking about to stay with it, and our depth, I think, let us down a bit too here today, and all that adds up to a real tough night against a very good team.
You talk about sort of feeling that sinking on the bench a little bit. I was just talking to Connor Brown, and he's obviously just part of this year, and he says you can sense that there's a little bit between the ears when you're playing this. Do you sense that from your team?
Well,
moments like that happen
in this building, yeah, for sure. I think. They've been one of the best teams in the league in this very building for as long as I can remember. So it's not just us. Like I said, we beat them 3 times in our building last year and managed it just fine. So I think there's part of that, but it's also you can feel the momentum turning in the game. You talked about, like Sal just mentioned, it's going to be a tough game, you know that, and you got us, end of a road trip here and playing against a team like them that is around 3 days rest. So you got to make good on your chances. You lose sight of the fact that we missed 3 breakaways tonight. So we have some looks to change the game on the scoreboard. Maybe it doesn't affect the shot clock as well as we'd like, and be able to carry play, but you have a chance to be right there in the game. So in that sense, we could have changed it a little bit. Liked how we had some fight in the third period. We had some good chances. We had a good 6-on-4 that we couldn't score on, and they put the game away at the empty netter. But it's a tough day here today, and we didn't do enough good things consistently to get on the right side of it.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Thank you, Sheldon.
Sheldon Keefe speaking with the MSG folks, Bryce Salvador, Rachel Herzog, along with Amanda Stein of the New Jersey Devils content team. Well, Amanda referenced Connor Brown's comments. Let's hear what the veteran forward had to say.
Guys, come out of that first period with the lead there, and then it's kind of a 5-minute span that really changed the momentum in that second period. How do you sort of quantify what happened there with that power play goal by them?
Well, I think that's a bit of a theme that that kind of can go on with this team, and it's going to be a big part of the growth and development of this group. Things like that, a goal like that on the power play. I mean, we can't spiral. I mean, one mistake can't lead into 10, and you can't go from up 1-0 to down 3-1, and in a quick stretch like that, and. We got a lot of young guys in this room, and a lot of guys that are just going to learn with experience. But, that's not only the story of tonight, but that's happened a few too many times throughout the season, and that's kind of why we're at where we're at. So, as a group, collectively, I think that's something that needs to get nipped in the butt.
Say in that first period, you guys managed their pressure so well. You know that it's part of their game that makes them so successful. What was it about maybe that second period surge from them that wasn't maybe handled the way you would have liked?
Well, the first period was puck play. I mean, we were snapping it around. We were having fun. We were playing loose out there. Checking hard. And they play a high pressure system, and if you're feeling good and you're sucking a guy in and jumping by him, I mean you can expose a team like that. I mean, obviously they're first in division for a reason, but there's holes there. They're not an unbeatable group. I think some scars along the way from this group needs to be healed, and but as soon as you let one in and go on your heels, that's when their system really takes over. That's the type of games that they prey on. So, it's a big learning moment for this team. But it's certainly not unfixable. I mean, it's all between the ears, and I don't think it's and we have the players in here to overcome that, and like I said, we have a young group that's going to continue to grow, and so. I think that's what it comes down to.
I remember the first game of this season, we had a conversation afterwards where you said you could really sense the magnitude of what this sort of rivalry was like, and just the way, it carries a lot of weight, just the way results have gone. Can you sense that on the bench when they go up there? Or?
I think before the game in the first period, and, I thought we were managing things really well, and I think, there's some things that happened throughout the game, and some emotions got high and just handled poorly throughout the game. And, hockey's an emotional game. I mean, you're playing at such a high speed, it's violent. And when you have scars against a team, sometimes it can be that much harder to manage. And so, it's a big learning moment for this team. And, to learn, you have to identify what's going wrong. I mean, you can't just say, oh, we got to overcome this, or, we got to beat this team. It's like, well, why is this team having the success that they've had against us? And so, and it's certainly not unfixable. I mean, it's very fixable. So, that's kind of what we got to take out of tonight.
You mentioned a little bit there, but what is that why from your vantage point of having just sort of been a part of this for this year?
Well, I don't want to give away too much of like what I feel like I think, and and I certainly don't have all the answers. But being part of some big runs and some playoff pushes, I mean, a lot of it comes down to the margins are so slim in this league. They have good players, but we have good players. So like I said, the margins are slim. And there's a couple tweaks between the years that this club needs to take, and I'm very optimistic that we will. Yeah.
Thanks, Brownie. Appreciate it.
Well, Amanda Stein speaking with Connor Brown. He said some interesting things. What he didn't say was also interesting. What he wouldn't really get to the point of. He made it clear that he thinks that there's a mental block here, but he wouldn't.
No,
he wouldn't quite go beyond that.
No, and why would you? But, Matt, I said before the game, and again, this happens. It wasn't like the Devils, okay, they got one goal. Oh, they only had 3 chances. No, I said in their own end, they've got to find ways to make big plays to keep the puck out of the net. Markey was doing that. Then in the second, there were a couple of crazy goals, right? So they didn't. But at the other end, through the course of when it was 3-1, Devils had at least 10 chances, either blocked, missed. Like Coach said, they had 3 breakaways. And the other end, you got to put the puck in the net. And that's what the problem has been. They got 1-1 at home. They did get 3 in here, but 3, and they gave up, 5 or whatever, 6. What I'm saying, hockey is when you get your chances, you got to score. And when they get their chances, you need somebody. And we saw it early when Kovacevic blocked that shot to wide open net. I thought, okay, maybe tonight we're going to be able to find a way to keep the puck out of the net. And they did in the first. But if I said to you, Matty, what happened in the second, it wasn't that all of a sudden the Hurricanes, they were getting 2-on-1s, breakaways, they were overwhelming the Devils. No, they made some of those chances work with some really nice shots. Like Ehlers' shot was great, up high off the pipe. How do you prevent that? I don't know. So anyway, here's the thing about tonight. Devils didn't learn anything. They can say they did, but they didn't. But next year, it's going to be different. You want to go with that?
Oh, I hope it is.
Okay, let's go with that.
As the Devils are swept in the season series by Carolina. And again, here in Raleigh, it's been difficult over the years for any team, as you heard Sheldon Keefe say, but particularly for the Devils now 2-8-1 in their last 5 years, and that doesn't include the playoff games either. So it's been a rough go, that is for sure, against Carolina, particularly here at Lenovo Center. So the Devils back in action on Sunday. That's a game against Chicago that you will hear on the Devils Hockey Network.